Berg there. Very pleasant too. I like Krista Berg. You enjoy. Dominic Bradley is with me, our MLA, and you're most welcome.
Thanks very much, Rob.
And we want to talk to you this morning just about what's happening in relation to the out-of-town retail park.
Yes.
You have supported it. You're keen that it goes ahead.
Yeah.
Tell the people why it's a good idea.
Well, first of all, the background to it is, I think the application was first made around 2009. That's 5 years ago. The SDLP supported it then, so it's no surprise that we have been consistent and we are still supporting it at the moment. The application has been modified to a large extent. The initial application included a number of cinemas and I think 6 restaurants. That has been removed from it. I suppose at a time when we're still in recession, when a potential investment of £50 million comes along.
Very hard to say no to it.
You can't say to the developer, get lost, we don't want you. You have to give it due consideration. Yep. And as part of that application, there are 350 construction jobs and the potential to create 400 other jobs after that in the food store and in the retail and industrial units that are provided there. There are also a small number of social houses. There are 12, I think, which will alleviate the...
Yeah, social housing is great.
It is, of course.
It's all of 20 years ago now. I suggested that Mary Street in Newry, which was traditionally an area of families, it's now an area of shops and bric-a-brac and all the rest of it. That all of those houses could have been turned into the most wonderful enclave for young families. So that's the sort of thing that's going to happen out there.
There'll be 12 houses there, but there are also social clauses in there in that all of the building materials will be sourced from local suppliers, and as well as that, the jobs available will be directed at people who have been long-term unemployed.
Let's look at what the Chamber of Commerce and Trade are saying. They're saying that the presence of this on the outskirts of Newry will decimate the heart of Newry and that it marks the death knell of the city centre of Newry. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think we've heard that before from the Chamber about other developments which are in that area. This particular development backs on to an existing retail park, so there is precedent there for retail development. I think people who are saying that it will decimate the city centre are exaggerating and even scaremongering, I believe. Newry is now becoming renowned as a retail hub. I think this development will add to that, and the more people we can attract from further afield to come and shop in Newry, I think the better for everyone. But all the things that the representatives of the Chamber have been saying are, amongst them anyway...
Oh, sorry. That sometimes the Prime Minister rings me.
Yes.
Sorry, Prime Minister, no, can't take you. I beg your pardon.
He'll have to wait.
He'll have to wait, wouldn't you think so?
One of the things that the representatives of the Chamber has been saying that the SDLP and/or the Minister postponed this decision to post-election times.
Yes.
I think that's utter rubbish because had I, as it were, been armed with the potential for job creations that this project offers, as I went canvassing from door to door, I think it would have been advantageous to us. So
would have been
helpful. That it has been kept off to after the elections, I think is absolutely rubbish.
Something happened at the council. Are you across yesterday's council meeting? You know what happened. What is that about? The council has reversed.
Let me deal with some of the other points that the Chamber are making.
Go.
The Chamber said that it's against the Minister's own policy and against SDLP policy. Well, I think the Minister has made it clear, if you read Hansard in some of the answers he has given to oral questions, that his policy is not a moratorium on all development. Each application has to be assessed and processed on its own merits. This application was in no way rushed through the system. After all, it's taken 5 years, and it's been subject to the rigours of the planning process. And as I said earlier on, originally it was a much bigger application, and it has been considerably pared back.
Restaurants, no restaurants in it. This would lead you
one
to
coffee shop.
One coffee shop, but that's, you know, Newry is swiftly developing a city centre character of coffee shops. There's the public realm walkway along the canal. Newry city centre, I find it very difficult to conceive of it being in its last days. I see the opposite being the case in the city centre.
There's huge potential for development in the city centre, and as an SDLP representative in this area, I have backed and supported many projects which have been brought forward by business people in the city centre. So there's no one can say that the SDLP is in any way holding back the development of the city centre. We very much support that. But as I say, Newry is now a city, and we have to take possibly a more expansive vision than we have done in the past. But that doesn't mean to say that, you know, every development that comes along will be automatically passed through.
No.
As I say, developments have to be assessed on their own merit. They have to be subject to the rigours of the planning system. And, you know, in the newspapers recently, there have been some suggestions that, you know, colleagues of mine who are in positions like Karen McKevitt.
With the Minister. She's a secretary.
She's a parliamentary secretary to the Minister. That's a very junior role, and it doesn't involve the policy-making role of the department. Neither does it involve the decision-making role. It's basically a role within the Assembly chamber as a liaison officer between the Minister and his officials during debates and during question time.
Dare I suggest it might help Mark Durkin if he came down to Newry, because one of the things they've been saying, we don't know the look of him, we don't know the colour of his face.
Well, he was here
He's never been in the middle of town.
Well, he was here last August, but I was speaking to him only yesterday, and he has had a request from the Chamber of Commerce, and he's very pleased to hold that meeting with the Chamber and to listen to what they have to say.
Okay, let that happen. What's Claire Hanna talking about? Do you see her in the paper today? She said the SDLP she said one of Belfast's SDLP councillors said there's a problem with the party's message and it needs fixing. Claire Hanna, a fairly iconic name within the SDLP, was speaking after a party fell short of its own council election targets and failed to win a seat. She told Mark Carruthers on the programme last night on the BBC that she believes the party should leave the Stormont executive. And she said, what else did she say? There's a problem with our message, and throughout the party it needs to be fixed. And other people are quoted as saying that the leadership of Alistair is now being questioned.
Well, I mean, I think the election results were disappointing. They weren't by any means a disaster, but they do point to questions that we have to ask. Now, I believe that one of those questions is not about Alistair MacDonald's leadership. I think he's worked extremely hard. The amount of energy that he's put into reorganising the party on the ground has been tremendous, and I would praise him for that. I think he should continue with that reorganisation. Every party after elections has to examine their performance. We are not the only party that had a dip in its percentages. We'll have to look at that, and we'll have to look at ways in which to ensure that in the future our vote not only holds up but increases, and we have plans to do that.
So the meetings are in plan; they're in prospect.
Yes.
That'll be happening there. Now, did you? I'm jumping about a bit. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. But I wanted to get rid of the Carmel Hanna, not the Carmel Hanna, the Claire Hanna thing. She's Carmel's daughter, is she?
She is. That's right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The Irish News is reporting this morning that the council has reversed its decision to support the out-of-town shopping development at Carnbane, and that they're now opposed to it. Now, I'm not sure, it doesn't make it clear here whether that's a committee of council deciding to make that recommendation to council, or whether it is a full council meeting deciding en masse we're reversing the decision. Have you any take on it?
I think that's probably the planning committee of the council.
But not the council.
Not the full council.
No, that's what I thought, yeah.
But in any case, I mean, from the outset, the council supported the Carnbane proposal.
They did.
And some of the parties on the council have now done a U-turn on it, but that's their business. As I said, the SDLP openly supported it from the beginning, and we have remained consistent in that.
You see, I obviously love the centre of town. That's where I was born, number 5 Mary Street.
Sure.
Sometimes I stand outside the door of number 5 nowadays, then it's a barber shop, and I look at the sky and I say, thank you, Lord, for dropping me down here.
Yes.
They beamed me down to there. So I'm a centre of town man.
Yeah.
I'm also a person who doesn't fear competition. That's how I am in my life. And I see a rising tide lifting all boats. And if people continue to withdraw, and put up the barricades, then it invites the attack.
Yeah, I think we have to be careful about the message that we send out about Newry, that it is a place which welcomes investment and is open to investors. And as I say, that's not to say that we should allow every development that comes along. They should be tested in the planning process and modified as this one has been if necessary. But certainly I would be inclined to agree with you that the more people we can attract to Newry from further afield, the more successful Newry will be.
We look to the future with confidence. Things are fairly badly fractured at the moment, of course, over this. The people at the centre of town, the Chamber of Commerce and Trade, the SDLP wouldn't be their best friends at the moment. How do you begin to build bridges again?
Well,
it's in nobody's interest for war to occur.
No, well, we're not involved in any war. We haven't attacked the Chamber. At least I'm not aware that we have. The Chamber have been quite scathing towards the SDLP, and an anonymous spokesperson for the Chamber has come forward with some pretty scurrilous innuendo about one of our MLAs, Karen McKevitt. I'm totally disgusted by it and reject it totally. I don't think that's the way to go about things. And could I just say, since this announcement was made about the Carnbane project getting planning permission, I haven't been contacted by any member of the Chamber. I was contacted by Deborah Loughran, who informed me that the permission had been released. That was last Friday morning. Now, I wasn't aware that the decision was being released last Friday, and I then took steps to see the statement that had been issued by the Minister. But since then, not one member of the Chamber of Commerce and not one trader in Newry has telephoned my office to speak to me.
There you are. That's it. You can't say any more than that.
Can I say that, the Minister, I've spoken to the Minister about it, and I've told him that there's been some dissatisfaction here locally over it, and he informed me that he had a request from the Chamber to meet him. He's very happy to meet the Chamber, as I am, and my colleagues here in Newry, if the Chamber wishes to take
I think
up
it might
that
be
offer.
good. I think it might be good from my independent observational platform if the Minister came to Newry and didn't simply invite them to Belfast.
Yeah, I'm sure he's quite happy to come to Newry.
Yeah.
But I think, possibly the Chamber, or those who represent the Chamber's interests in relation to these particular issues, may have fallen asleep at the wheel. They may have thought that this particular application was dead in the water when it was still progressing through the planning system, and possibly they were a bit taken aback when the announcement was made last Friday.
Well, I think it's a good friend of mine once said, the leaf will always fall where it's meant to fall.
That's true.
And
yes.
We will continue to welcome you here. We'll continue to welcome the Chamber here.
Thank you.
And the Minister, if he wants to come in and sit down here.
Well, I'll convey that message
will you do
to
that?
him.
Tell him he's welcome.
Yes.
That I knew all his kith and kin.
And I'm sure he'll be delighted to come and speak to you.
God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Go well. Take care.
Thank you.